Alright, in this video I'm just going to go over all of the level blueprints that I've started to create, including the teleporting pots. The vine doesn't work right now. That was me testing stuff. Mostly just the ledges, the teleporting pots, the flowers, and probably collectibles, but that's pretty simple. The collectible, you just put it down and that's it. And the flowers, of course. I'm going to start with ledges though, because this is probably one of the most important. The ledges, they are a spleen, so you go to level ledge, it's this BP ledge. So you can just place it down here. And it starts off really small, but you can see that there's a spleen inside of this texture here. This texture just exists to show which direction should be pointing the wall. So you can grab the other end of the spleen and start to rearrange it as you see fit. They can curve as well. The curve is really janky. If I were to leave it like this, it probably wouldn't work very well, or at all. I'm actually going to test that. Let's see. It's invisible, of course, but it was somewhere up here. So I can't even see where it was. Yeah, I was missing it. To add more points on the spleen, what you do is you hold Alt on your keyboard and then drag from the last spleen point. Or if you want to drag from the middle, it'll also just create one right there. In the default area here, the forward axis, you don't need to worry about changing this. Same with section length, or basically any of these. This is all residual from my base spleen that I created, which basically just lets us create spleen meshes like this and customize them. So when placing ledges, all you have to worry about is just placing them. With that said, you do have to be careful about the positioning of them. It's best to have it sticking out a little bit, like that. If I were to take this one and instantly move it too deep inside, some weird things can start happening. I don't know if it will really show here, but weird things do happen. Yeah, I can no longer move left and right on it until you pull it out an appropriate amount. And then I will be able to just like that. You can curve them like this. I played around with the curves, and this was the shortest angle that I could find that would work for letting the player rotate around it. Feel free to mess around with that, but if you create a spleen and it's rounded like this and it's too curved, it might not work very well or at all. So it's still better to use them in straight lines. But changing them to spleens based on compared to what they were before, it's still a massive improvement. I'm going to move on to the pots. Blueprints level. It's in teleport pot right now. I'll probably move it into a folder at some point, but for now it's just in here. I'll place a new one down, and let me make sure I'm still recording. I am. Okay, cool. So once again, you come over here to the details panel. There's a target pot, and there's also a world location. So you can either teleport to a pot, or you can teleport to somewhere in the world. If I were to click world location, there's also the rotation you want and the actual location. We'll just leave it at 0, 0 just to show it. I actually haven't tested the world location in a bit. I think it still works. Yeah, like I would assume so. But the main purpose that we'll use these for is probably going to be pot to pot transportation. So you turn this back off, and then for the target pot, all you do is you either select it out of the list of the pots, or you can select one in advance and then click select the actor in viewport, which is the one you're selecting, or you can hit the pick actor from scene and just click it. And then now if I were to go over and hop into the pot, I'll teleport out of this one, and it won't automatically teleport back unless you also select it vice versa. So now the pots can be used interchangeably to hop in and out. If I can control it. If I'm using the keyboard to control, it's a little more difficult. That's about it for the pots. So next I'll go over these flowers here. They don't look like flowers right now because there's no models yet, but this is the bounce flower, this is the spin flower. You can place them as is. Eventually I will just switch out these textures and meshes for what they should be. So you go into blueprints level flowers, and then you just place it down. There's only one, because you specify what kind it is in here. If you click enter spin, it will turn into a spin flower. Otherwise it's just a bounce flower, and you can enter a bounce value in here, and that's all there is to it. I do think these aren't completely done yet. For instance, if I were to I just now thought of this as I'm recording. I haven't had much time to think about this otherwise. But I think if you were to jump on this, instead of bouncing you at an angle, it would still just go straight up. Yeah. And I think I'd like to change that so that it could be at an angle. That's an easy change too, so that'll probably be changed really soon. It'll probably take like 10 seconds to change that. But for the spin flower, it's the same thing, but the player will enter a spin. And you can also edit these values to be really high. It might look silly, but you can make them really high or really low. This one's a little higher, but not so high that it's strange. I got the camera working so that follows the player pretty well. I'm thinking with when I add the angular, we can combo these into each other too. That could be a cool effect. Bounce from flower to flower. It's pretty fun. Got another one here. In terms of the actual level elements, there's the platforms too. I'll go over that. But this platform is the last one. Level, right now it's just here. It'll probably be in the folder at some point, but for now, it is just platform. You can scale it any size you want. It's really just a block out platform that will probably get replaced with different textures and models later. But it once again is on a spleen, so you can curve the spleen however you want. Maybe not edit that first one. Make it curve here. I'll just make it do a nice little curve there. And you can change the duration that it will travel. And that's basically just how it handles the speed of it as well. And right now, that's the only customization in this. We can probably add more later, such as making it not loop if we need to. That wouldn't be too terribly difficult to implement at all. This Vine folder, by the way, doesn't work yet. It probably won't work for a while. I forgot about slope zone as well. Uh, Basically, all this does is make a surface seen as a slope. So if I were to put this right here and line it up with this platform here, make sure it's actually inside, like that, the floor will not be walkable there. It should make the player enter a slide. This is something I added forever ago, though. Yeah, okay. Maybe this does not... Oh, it kind of worked. Yeah, it kind of worked for a second there. Yeah. I probably just didn't place it very well, but it turns surfaces into something the player can't walk on. I did use that a little bit up here. This was like a prototype level I did just for my Game Design 1 class. I just didn't delete it. But this slope is less than the walkable amount, but I put this here and it forces them to enter a slope. And so they slide down it as if it were really steep. Float text we can use for debugging. That's just like text that floats. You can just place it and edit it. Other things are just remnants of my Game Design 1 class, so we don't really need to worry about those too much. In terms of level, I think that's about it. I'm also going to make a video for the enemy and the cam zones.